see where he ends up. The other thing that is going to be interesting to see is how Ole Gunnar Solskjaer deals with his first transfer window proper, where he's the one who is hopefully influencing things. A lot of Alex Ferguson in his... he's talking a lot about Alex Ferguson at the moment. How do you feel about this?
Every moment, not at the moment. Yeah, I don't mind it to a point when he first came in. Let's get back to the old Manchester United. Alex Ferguson was a big man, and of course, Alex Ferguson was. I learned a lot from Alex. I'm sure he did. But yeah, look, he's got the job now. It's all about. I think I'd like to hear him talk about, this is my vision for the club. This is how I see it. I haven't quite bought into the I'm going to take us back to the Manchester United way of playing. I understand now. I can't say I don't know what that means. I do know what it means traditionally, how the team he played in, 4-4-2, bit of natural width, back to front quite quickly, didn't overcomplicate the game. Plenty of crosses into the box, good combination, players committing themselves into the box, high energy, that type of football. I think generally speaking, when people talk about the old Manchester United, I think that's generally what they're talking about. But even that year changed under Ferguson. Their last 4 or 5 years under Ferguson, Queiroz came in, playing more of a counter-attacking style, 4-5-1, particularly in Europe. He's soaking up pressure a little bit and maybe counter-attacking teams a little bit. So even that changed a little bit, even when Ferguson was there. And certainly when I've watched Solskjaer, and I've been impressed tactically how he set the team up. But at time, it has been that very much counter-attacking style as well, in terms of sit, draw people on and hit them quickly.
Isn't that a bit of genius on his part? So Van Gaal said that Solskjaer was basically doing fairly similar stuff to what he and Mourinho were doing, but he's getting away with it because he's a Manchester United legend. That actually it was that counter-attacking style of football. They were parking the bus when they needed to. If you're Solskjaer and you realise that that's how football should be played, you're telling everybody one thing, you're doing something different, and you're getting away with it because you're channeling the gods of Alex Ferguson and using that as your shield.
Yeah, but I think it's a bit different. I think it's actually assessing the quality of the players that you have at your disposal and saying, right, which style of play best suits these players. And you look at that Manchester United team, the kind of pace and energy that they have in the team. For me, that's a classic counter-attacking. Yeah. So have they got the players in midfield to get on the ball and actually dominate? Is Matic the type of player now who's going to get on the ball in tight areas and get you through and get you up the pitch and get Pogba on the ball higher up the pitch? As good as Matic is being, probably not, you know what I mean? Whereas you look at them at the moment, you look at the team, the attributes that they have, the likes of Lingard, Rashford, Martial, Lukaku, the ability to hit quickly from back to front, and that counter-attacking style we're talking about is best. So I don't necessarily feel this the way he wants to play, but certainly at the moment when he looks at his players, he probably thinks this best suits the player. So I give him credit for that. Yeah,
that bodes well. We did want to talk to you a little bit about the Manchester United nostalgia that is sweeping over the land at the moment, because Ole Gunnar Solskjaer keeps talking about Alex Ferguson. So we got some photographs of you here, Kearney. We can have a look at this. They are up against Cristiano Ronaldo.
Yeah, now for the purists, I'd criticise myself there because I'm actually tackling with the wrong foot. When I played a lot of the time at centre half, I played left side, and I was predominantly right sided player. So you'd see a lot of this. Generally going into a tackle this side of the pitch, I should be sweeping that ball away with my left foot. Yeah, naturally Vertonghen would come in there and naturally sweep the ball away with his left foot. So that's, from a technical point of view, that wouldn't be a great tackle. Though it looks as if is that a straight yellow card these days?
You've got the ball.
Slightly out, studs shown. Bit of the ball, but obviously momentum potentially.
Days, couldn't it, Kenny?
Well, I don't think me other legs is in contact with the ground, so I'd argue probably free kick and yellow card in today's game.
Did you ever win at Old Trafford? Do you remember?
Yeah, I had a pretty miserable record. Forget about Old Trafford. Old Trafford, Anfield, I'd throw in there. The London club's not too bad. I remember Chelsea, Arsenal, maybe. Not even Spurs, actually. That was pretty miserable as well. But no, Man U, I remember getting a draw up there in an FA Cup tie, stealing the draw, last minute job, free kick, Super Dons, picking them off and getting a draw. But apart from that, it was tough. The tough place to go for obvious reasons.
Because of Alex Ferguson and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer.
Oh, because of Alex.
Yeah, so here you are with Solskjaer. Yeah, that's also in the Birmingham days, isn't it? We've only got the end of your career here, obviously.
Yes, not exactly sure what that. My head looks a little bit. He may have actually put the ball in the top corner at this stage. That looks as if that's almost a bit of a pat in the back. Don't beat yourself up over that one, lad. He's probably put it through my legs and put it in the top corner.
That happened to you, yeah? Was Solskjaer good?
Sure. He was a brilliant goal scorer.
And when you were up against him, did you think, oh shit, here comes Ole Gunnar Solskjaer?
Yeah, but he was one of those players who never frightened you because he hadn't got that kind of real athleticism, that kind of explosive pace. Physically, he wasn't going to intimidate you. But his movement was brilliant, and obviously he was a brilliant finisher. So the type of player who, if he came off the bench and came up against you, you weren't thinking, oh Jesus, no.
Yeah.
Whereas the likes of Giggs and another, and there was other players there. For me personally,
there's Giggsy.
Yeah, is he actually holding? Got a bit of my jersey?
He
there?
does.
He's trying to slow me down. He's trying to slow me down a bit there, Jer.
He is.
Have a look at the hair. Have a look at the.
Both
the chat with Mrs. about that last night. She was saying, "Oh, her hair was all over the place." So maybe it was a little bit. Maybe
she lamenting times past when you had some. Is that it?
Now the young fella made mention of the fact about my hair or something. So that's how the conversation started. Something about daddy with hair or something. And that's how the conversation started. But yeah, he was the opposite. Giggs, because he'd be the opposite now. He would terrify me in terms of his pace and his trick. You're talking about Hazard not getting yourself in a 1v1. Giggs would be the same. I'd need to get me right side midfield and alongside me right side of centre half across when I was playing.
Yeah, because you're right back at that stage.
Yeah, it'd be kind of a collective effort.
You were never a centre back at Wimbledon, really, were you? Were you always a right back?
Yeah, mostly a right back at Wimbledon. My early years, I went back to there. Wimbledon, maybe my last couple of years, went back into the championship. My last year, went back at centre half.
Yeah.
It was more of a natural position for me, but I enjoyed fullback because when I had my legs, I'd get forward a little bit. But it did get you a little bit more isolated against the opposition winger. Certainly in those days. Maybe nowadays we're so used to seeing wide midfielders drop back into orthodox full-back positions, and full-backs getting that little cosy position between winger and centre. Right side midfielders in my day, if you'd have said to them, get back Alonso, just get into an orthodox right-back position, they'd been like, nah, I don't think so.
That's not my job.
You deal with him, 1v1, that's what you're paid for, Yeah,
very good. Have we any more photographs? Yeah, so here's Ruud van Nistelrooy.
Even he's got a hold of me now, he hasn't got a hold of him there.
You're holding him. It's the secret. You're trying to make it look like he's got hold of you.
And he was another one in terms of that.
GA trick.
Not particularly frightening you, athletically, pace-wise, but he was the first one I saw Van Nistelrooy take that offside position. We're so used to centre-forwards actually stand offside and will stay behind you. So you're squeezing to the halfway line. Normally when you squeeze, you'd say squeeze them up, push them towards the halfway line, and they'd come into a position where you could see them and the ball, they've been your peripheral vision, but he was the first one I saw actually stayed behind you in an offside position, so you couldn't see him and the ball, and it was really off-putting. And what he did was, at the last minute, he'd dive back onside and kind of go again. And I remember first seeing it, thinking, what's he doing there? But it was really unnerving because you couldn't see him. So there was a bit of nervousness. He'd instill a bit of nervousness across the defensive line. So
this is just really, the rule change happens where you were either offside or you weren't, and then it was, are you interfering with play? And is around the same time?
Yeah, a little bit. This is a long time ago, though. The rules are still the same. If he got the ball in offside position, he was offside. But what he wouldn't do is he wouldn't stand in a position where you could see him and the ball. So where if he made his run, then maybe you could block him off. Your body would be between him and the goal. He'd stand the other side of you, and at the last minute, maybe just take a big step. He'd actually nudge you. He'd actually nudge into the back of you and push you under the ball. And then, which is the last place you wanted to be. You always wanted to be goal side as a defender, but he'd stay the other side. And when you went to react, he'd knock you very subtly, give you a little body. So
that's genius, isn't it?
Doesn't sound much but it was the first time and after that, a lot of players used to do it. Henry used to do it, and quite a few more. It's quite prevalent now, like you're saying, in terms of whether he's offside or not. That's a last ditch as well. That looks like I'm wrong, so
this is
that's a classic. Right, I've got myself wrong, so I'm not going to win the ball. Just make a nuisance of yourself. Get your elbow into his ribs. Just for anything that'll actually put him off.
Rooney's athleticism would have been something that terrified people. Here's Roy Keane at the end of his career dribbling through Mario Melchiot. Who's that on the left? I don't know who that is.
Damien Johnson there, Northern International, yeah. Well, I got a Joe Kinnear done. We went up to Manchester once, and don't ask me why. I was playing right back for Wimbledon, and during the week Joe said, right, I'm playing you centre midfield. Just sit on right. Just sit on right. Just stop and get on the ball. Can you just try and put him out of the game? And he brought in a young lad at right back, reasonably inexperienced, to play in an orthodox right back position. So it lasted about 15 minutes, 20 minutes I remember. Not because maybe I was Roy was necessarily bossing the show, but our young right back was getting twisted a bit by Ryan Giggs in those 1v1 situations that we were talking about. So I was ejected from that central midfield area, which I was actually quite enjoying.
Sliding doors.
So I was watching the kind of impact Giggs was having the first 6 minutes, thinking, thank God I'm not in my normal right back position.
But you could have been one of the world's great man markers. There you go.
Yeah. But funny enough, Roy left one on me about 5 minutes before that. Anyway, I was kind of for a sliding tag with Roy. He kind of left it. Just does. It was half a dead leg anyway. So anyway, long story short, I ended back up at centre half, having been put into a kind of a man marking role on Roy. Nobody would have known it was a man marking role. It only lasted 15 minutes. I ended up limping back into the right back position after the dead leg Roy had given me, having to face up to Giggs and those 1v1 situations. Thankfully, I think we're about 10-0 down at the time. So
it didn't matter.
Yeah, the game was over.